What is the oldest video game? The answer to that question is probably a lot older than whatever you're thinking, and most people agree that there's three possible answers depending on your definition of a video game. In my first video on this topic, we covered Bertie the Brain, which is a tic-tac-toe machine made in 1950. But some people don't consider this to be the first ever video game because it's just turning light bulbs on and off. There's not like a screen in the way that we would normally think of one. Which brings us to Noughts and Crosses, designed in 1952 by A.S. Douglas. Funny enough, it's another tic-tac-toe game, but this time you are playing on a screen. You play on one of these tiny screens over here. There's not a whole lot of pictures of it for reasons that we'll get into, but this was essentially what it would have looked like. Because unlike Bertie the Brain, which was a computer specifically built to play this game, that's why they created this whole machine, Noughts and Crosses was just software that they got running on a computer that did a whole other thing. Like, this computer had purposes outside of playing video games, which is why they didn't really think too much about the actual software. It was just kind of an experiment. This computer was called the EDSAC, the Electronic Delay Storage Atomic Calculator. It was one of the first stored program computers, meaning that you could write and read information from it. The screens on it that again would have looked something like this was used to display that stored information to the user. The computer was built at Cambridge, and Sandy Douglas, who was a doctoral candidate at Cambridge at the time, used it to make Noughts and Crosses, which is just the British way of saying tic-tac-toe. And the game wasn't made to be public in the way Bertie the Brain was. It was just made in the mathematics lab. You could only access it if you have special permission to the lab. And like a lot of software at the time, after they were done with the academic purposes for this, they just discarded the software. And technically, this thing had more functionality because there was actually difficulty levels, and the way that you interface with it was custom made for this game. This thing had one difficulty, and it was set to be as challenging as it possibly could be. And the way you interacted with it was putting your inputs in with a rotary phone. Like, you used 1 through 9 on the rotary phone to like place where you wanted your X to go. Decades later, a guy by the name Martin Campbell Kelly would create a simulation of the original computer that this game ran on, and then just recreated the game on that simulation. So the legacy of this is intact, even if the original one is long gone. While this does display information on a screen, it still doesn't have any moving graphics. So that's why some people still dispute whether or not this is the first ever video game. Which leads us into the game that we will talk about next video, which will fit the strictest definition of a video game. But what do you think? Is Noughts and Crosses the oldest video game? Is it Bertie the Brain, or have we not gotten to it yet? Let me know in the comments. If you want to see the third video in this saga, make sure you give me a follow.